Opposition parties in the city of Johannesburg are up in arms over the latest missed council sitting. There's been no open oversight sitting on tender processes since July last year. On Wednesday, another sitting was postponed. There was no power in the council's chambers. The meeting was supposed to discuss performance reports from City Power, Joburg Water and Pikitup. We are now joined by ActionSA Johannesburg Council Caucus leader Nobuhle Mthembu and DA Johannesburg Council Chief Whip Leah Knott. A very good afternoon to both our guests, and thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Perhaps let's start with you, Nobuhle, and you can tell us about some of your concerns. What is your understanding in terms of what is delaying the city? We spoke to Colleen Makubele, who mentioned that there was a bit of a problem in terms of infrastructure due to a fire.
Look, good afternoon to you and the viewers at home. We all know the Metro Centre has had problems. I think the first time this was tabled, it was probably in 2019, before I even became a city councillor in the city of Johannesburg. But the issue here is that Colleen, hours before council was supposed to sit, she informed everyone that she was cancelling council because we've got no venue that she can get for us councillors, which is quite funny because they knew this was happening for the last 2 weeks. One of our concerns is that we've got service providers that provide services when we're sitting for council. So who's going to pay the bill for the cancellation fee that we have to pay to those service providers, number one. Number two, we had urgent questions to be asked to the MMCs, especially the MMC of AISD. We all know we've got a water shortage in the city of Johannesburg. To give you a practical example, we went to Midrand last week. Residents in Midrand did not have water for a week. Between the second and third day, water tankers were supplied by the city, but when we checked the water was not clean. We tried to reach out to the MMC of EISD, and he did not call us back. Up to date, we are still waiting. So should we have went to council, we would have asked the speaker to give us an opportunity to have an urgent debate about this so that the MMC can tell us what has he put in place to make sure this does not happen in any other area in the city of Johannesburg. But as everyone knows, we did not sit, so we are still waiting. No service delivery is being done in the city of Johannesburg, and we as ActionSA has been advocating for this for quite some time. The government of local unity is busy with internal conflicts, and they have completely forgotten about the residents and the lives of the people who are residing in the city of Johannesburg. So it's quite a concern.
Leah, are you concerned as well?
Look, we're very concerned. We, as recently as last week, wrote for urgent intervention from the MEC of CoJ. I wrote a 16.5-page letter on the governance and legislature failures within Johannesburg. The Speaker has cancelled and postponed and reconvened council at least more than 20 times in the last 8 months. Our strat sessions for the Section 79 committees were cancelled because they couldn't find venues. They didn't do procurement in time. A number of committees have not sat regularly. Some of them have only sat 6 times in the last 2 years. We have a serious crisis in Johannesburg, and I think the bigger problem is not only the council can't sit, but also that residents cannot access the centres because the big data server that, the whole city functions on is located at Metro Centre. Personally, I ran up and down to revenue centres 3 or 4 times this morning taking customer documentation because they can't email the city. Everything is down. And I think, the crux of the issue is that we had venues available. There are many venues throughout the city. But where they are located, and I think Councillor Mthembu brought this up, is within the Midrand areas, the Brixton areas, the Westbury areas, and those people have not had water for several months. Having a council meeting there when you haven't gone to go and engage people on the water crisis is going to end in a security risk.
Nobuhle, what options are then available to you?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I think that was a bit...
Sure. What options are then available to you to ensure accountability, or rather to ensure that there is a sitting so the business of the day can continue?
Look, from our side, what we've done, we've written to the Speaker, and we did say to her that this is not anything new. She does know that there are issues in Metro Center, but she must make sure that we do sit. I mean, she is one of the people that are responsible for councillors to make sure that we sit. So she must take accountability so that we can hold the executive accountable. And what is happening between the MMCs and the residents of the city being forgotten by the people who are supposed to be providing this, she must hold them accountable as the Speaker also. So we even wrote to the city manager to give us an update. Last time, 2 weeks back, actually not even last time, 2 weeks back, they were supposed to hold a press briefing to update us about the status of Metro Center. The very same day, the city manager and the CEO of Johannesburg Property Group, they cancelled that press briefing. And later on in the day, we saw them in Naturena, busy cutting residents who are not paying their electricity bill. So this is just a clear indication that they are not prioritizing what's happening in Metro Center. They are not prioritizing also service delivery. So we'll see what we can do. Apart from that, we'll look at other internal processes that we can push sitting in council as the councillors of the City of Johannesburg.
Leah, what options are available?
Well, look, I mean, we had COVID. We spent over 2 years doing online council meetings. We never had an issue. We experienced load shedding during that time. As councillors, we are given a cell phone and data allowance. And if we can't get, reception in the areas where we are, we move to somewhere else where we can get reception. So the excuse that we cannot have an online council meeting is not accepted by the Democratic Alliance. It's certainly an option. It would allow us to get through the business of the day. But, what we've seen in the last week is MMCs referring each other to ethics, the speakers referring other MMCs to ethics. Their priorities are very skewed. And this Metro Centre issue is not new. It came up, and it was actually earlier than 2019. It was in 2018. And JPC were advised that the electrical infrastructure was unstable and they needed to fix it. But they have been pushing for this 2 billion rand investment, which strangely enough is coming right before an election. And they've been pushing for it, and they were told the structural integrity and everything is fine. You need to go and fix the maintenance issues such as the electrical infrastructure. And year on year, they've been trying to push this 2 billion rand deal through council instead of fixing the infrastructure. And I'm sure that's why they can't hold a press briefing to update residents and councillors as to what's going on, because they're trying to save face now. And to be honest, it is unacceptable. We are frustrated as councillors. We represent the residents of the city, and we represent a large portion of them. So, we feel that we are entitled to answers. We cannot have, at the moment, we've got, I think, 13 PI applications in process because they refuse to answer our questions. We've got questions outstanding since November 2022. The way governance is being run is completely unacceptable.
Thank you very much to both our guests. Nobuhle Mthembu, Johannesburg Council ActionSA Caucus leader, and Leah Knott, DA Chief Whip, Johannesburg Council.